Moshe Rabbeinu, right?
Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, shalom everybody. Muadim lesimcha. Bezat Hashem. Before anything, we'd like to say that this class has been sponsored and dedicated by Mr. Leo Farrell from New York. And in the merit of Rebbe Nachman ben Fege, may Hashem protect him and may Hashem guide him in his journey, seeking the truth, seeking the light. And may Hashem be there for every junction point in the merit of Rebbe Nachman ben Fege. May Rebbe Nachman have a big part in his life, in his destiny, God willing. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. We're going to connect Rebbe Nachman to the festival of Sukkot, to Chol HaMoed, right? And a few other details, Bezrat Hashem. To start, Rebbe Nachman passed away in the year 1810 on the 4th day of Sukkot, which is now in Israel, Thursday night, okay, the 18th of Tishrei, at the age of 38 and a half. He's buried in Uman amongst martyrs from a pogrom that took place in about the year 1768, I think 1768. It was a 3-day pogrom where about 30,000 Jews were slaughtered and martyred in Uman. And Rebbe Nachman indicated that he wanted to be buried amongst these people. His wording in Hebrew was, Tov lishkav kan. It's good that I lie down, that I be buried here. And Rav Nosson, his disciple, took these words seriously. And he was one of the few people who remembered that what Rebbe Nachman hinted, that he would like to be, if anywhere to be buried amongst the martyrs in Uman. Okay, what happened was, when Rebbe Nachman passed away, in a sense it was unexpected. Why was it unexpected? Because everyone wanted Rebbe Nachman to live longer. They couldn't imagine such a big light. Someone who every time he spoke, light was shining. You have to understand, this wasn't a normal person. When he spoke words of Torah, it was like penetrating people at the deepest level. People were shaken and woken up to come back to Hashem when he spoke. So they couldn't imagine that Hashem would take away someone so young and so early, and in the middle of their process of trying to come back to Hashem through this tzaddik, people couldn't imagine that he would just leave. Even Rav Nosson himself, he couldn't imagine. It was unexpected, really. They didn't want to believe that he would die. They thought it would get better. All right? So, he passed away. He was buried in the afternoon, around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, amongst these martyrs. Now, when he passed away, it was such a mix-up. It was so crazy amongst the followers, because some were saying, we'll take him to Teplik to bury him. The followers of the city of Teplik, let's take him to Teplik. The others, Breslovers from Breslov, they said his hometown is Breslov, bring him back to Breslov. And Rav Nosson was the only one who was saying he wanted to be buried here. That's why he came here. He's the only one sticking out, and no one was listening to Rav Nosson. Rav Nosson being the closest disciple, but back then, it still wasn't apparent that Rav Nosson was the address. It wasn't accepted by all the Breslovers. Even Rav Nosson himself, he didn't know his role as the future, like what his position is going to be as the main disseminator of Rebbe Nachman's teachings. So Rav Nosson, though, kept in mind what Rebbe Nachman said, that he wanted to be buried in Uman. And everyone was trying to decide, because you had followers who were rich businessman supporters of Rebbe Nachman, and they felt they had an authority to determine, he should be buried by us in this city, etc. So Rav Nosson was all alone. All of a sudden came Hirsch Ber. Hirsch Ber Horowitz was one of the leading maskilim, enlightened Jews. He was a secular Jew, one of the enlightened leaders in Ukraine, all of Ukraine. He received the sword of gold from the Tsar of Russia as a token of appreciation of how great his knowledge was. Okay? People were afraid of these guys because they were so smart. They were educated in the Torah because they grew up as educated in Torah, but they left. And they were educated in mathematics and science. They were in philosophy, everything. Okay? So Hirsch Ber, who Rebbe Nachman started to draw these people close towards the end, okay? He asked Rav Nosson, what did the Rebbe want? Hirsch Ber knew that Rav Nosson knew better than anybody else what Rebbe Nachman wanted. That's already a Kiddush. We're going to go into this. Hirsch Ber said to Rav Nosson, you tell me, what did the Rebbe want? Because everyone's saying something else. What did the Rebbe want? He said, he told me he wants to be buried here. No problem. He quickly went to the municipality. He bought 2 plots in the old Jewish cemetery, which wasn't being used already. It was already outdated because there was a new Jewish cemetery in Uman, down below, where we know it is. Okay? So he just bought 2 plots, one for the grave and one to build an oil, a shrine over it. So Rebbe Nachman's basically in the middle of two spots, enough that they have a shrine going around both spots, okay? And like that, it was done. Everyone was scared of Hirsch Ber. Even the wealthy students of Rebbe Nachman, the supporters, they were scared of Hirsch Ber. So it happened. That happened, okay? And it was through this, like, last-minute determination that this happened. So this is the historical part of the picture. What's going on a deeper level? Rebbe Nachman said that amongst these 30,000 martyrs, he said there are not thousands of souls here. There are not 10,000 souls here. There's tens of thousands and myriads, more than the amount of martyrs buried there. He said there are souls there waiting for my rectification to rectify them. So it's as if to say that these martyrs are not the ones he's coming to rectify, because they're rectified. You have to understand something on a deeper level. When a Jew is killed on Kiddush Hashem, when a Jew is slaughtered because he's Jewish, the books bring down that Kiddush Hashem is one of the greatest ways to extract holy sparks trapped in the evil side, especially from the killer. The goy who's killing the Jew, he contains hidden sparks of Judaism trapped by him. And when a Jew is killed by a goy for Kiddush Hashem, this extracts at the highest level. In most cases, they say people goyim who kill Jews, they don't end their life so long. In other words, they die. The majority of them, they die soon after. You have those Yimach Shemam, those Ukrainian, German soldiers who got away with it and here and there, but they had a miserable life anyways because they're hiding in underground. But in most cases, the books bring down, once a wicked goy kills a Jew on Kiddush Hashem, so the sparks were taken away from him, it was extracted, so there's no need for him to live that much longer. So he can die earlier. So they say that Kiddush Hashem sucks out, extracts holiness trapped on the evil side more than anything else. So the martyrs in Uman, they did the job. They didn't Rebbe Nachman necessarily to rectify them, because dying on Kiddush Hashem, and Rebbe Nachman said it was a big Kiddush Hashem because it happened in 3 days, and it was 30,000 approximately martyrs. And the children were the oral tradition is the children were killed last. The children were brought in a group, and the goyim erected a canopy with a cross underneath it. And the parents of these kids who already refused to bow down, so these gunta guys, these Cossacks, they killed the parents in front of the kids in a slow death. They cut off their arms and legs, let them die slowly. And the kids were watching this. And then the Cossacks told the children, if you don't bow down to the cross, we're going to do the same thing to you. And the Kiddush Hashem is not one Jewish child. Even like a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, they already knew the value of not to bow down to this cross. Not one child bowed down. They were killed last. By the way, Rebbe Nachman is buried next to the children's graves. They put the children together, okay? So it was a big Kiddush Hashem. It was a big. So Rebbe Nachman is not there for them. Rather, Rebbe Nachman uses the merit of the martyrs to rectify, he said, thousands and thousands and thousands of souls. Rav Nosson writes in a few places in Likutei Halachot, and it's also in the other teachings of the later Breslovers, that it's not just for those from the past, it's the past, in Rebbe Nachman's present time, and in the future now. Okay? So it was a big thing. It wasn't for them, he needed to be there. It was to utilize their koach. I want to go into this a little, okay? We've been speaking a lot in the past classes about the concept of the exchanged chambers, Hechala Tumurot. Hechala Tumurot is a very difficult situation in which we, as a nation, we are stuck in right now. But individually, also every Jew, on a daily basis, goes through the exchange. What is the exchange? Basically, that the evil side has permission to swap from you any holiness and blessing and bounty that's supposed to come down your way. They have the ability to take it, give it to someone else who's not worthy, and give you what they have. Their garbage comes to you. And therefore a person feels very depressed, anxious, empty, void, futile, it's justified, the feelings, because I don't have the bounty that was supposed to come down with me to deal with the challenges I'm supposed to face on a daily basis. So of course I'm down, okay? So the question is, Hashem, what do you want from me? Where's the free will here? The free will, Rebbe Nachman teaches, Rebbe Nachman elaborates his point, is that you have to create a joy from somewhere else. A fake joy, which will lead to an authentic joy from somewhere else. When that joy is activated, you get back that which was stolen from you. Because he explains, Rav Nosson explains the idea that the whole koach of yenika, of the evil to nourish off your holiness, is when you're sad. When a Jew is sad and depressed and worried and anxious and futile, this gives energy to the evil side. So how do they accomplish that? By taking away from you that which is rightfully belonging to you, giving it to someone else, and giving you then their pekalech, their garbage. So then you're down, you're upside down. So the Yisrael says, great, this is bravo, this is exactly what we want. Stay down, stay negative, and we nourish off of you, okay? So then what's the test? What do? I have to rebuild a fake simcha through telling jokes, putting on music, acting happy as if, finding good points, even if the good points are full of all types of blemishes, finding the good points there, giving thanks for little tiny things which are insignificant, but you make them significant by saying thank you to Hashem for them, or the future that in the end everything's going to work out, and the end is going to be Judgment Day, there's going to be Mashiach, the resurrection of the dead, everything's going to be rectified. So if that's the case, why should I be so broken now if I know it's going to work out in the future? These are all fake ways, not real, but fake ways that can lead to authentic simcha. And when you build a simcha from something, from nothing, you create something to be really happy about, and you're happy in serving Hashem. Now again, even though you're lacking, you're crippled, you're spiritually crippled, you're lacking that which is supposed to come your way, yet you're happy. So that smashes the klipa, and you extract that which was taken from you and bring it back. And now it's enhanced even. You're not just getting back, but it comes of interest. It comes enhanced, so you have even more, you get back more lost items that belong to you that were deep stuck in the evil side from previous reincarnations. They also come back to you, okay? This is the idea of the chamber of exchanges. This also happens, the Zohar says, in Parshat Mishpatim, at the beginning of someone's life. A person can be exchanged, someone today told me that, someone who fell off the path. He was telling me, I can't understand it. The guy has such a tzaddik father. His father is such a tzaddik, and the son is so off. So I said, that's the chamber of exchanges. That's what the Zohar says. You can have a couple from Mea Sharim, and they conceived the child in holiness, and washing the hand, l'shem yichud, giving tzedakah. They did everything to be in such a high level of spirituality and purity and holiness, and they're given, their soul that's supposed to come down to that lady to be pregnant with, is given to someone from East LA who's married to some goy, and she's a Jewish lady stuck in the slums, and they get this holy neshama in the middle of the slums, and then they get the child that's supposed to be destined for that couple from East LA, for example. They get it in Masharim, and you begin to wonder, the child is so different than parents. The answer is yes, because of the swap, because they exchange chambers. So it can happen at the beginning of life, and it happens also every day. Rav Nosson says all your ups and downs in life, they're connected to the chamber of exchanges. They do it, the Zohar says, mainly in the morning when you wake up, when you go to sleep, and then you're supposed to come back re-energized with new energy. They swap that energy, okay? And it can take place. What happens during the day is that as a ripple effect from waking up in the morning with the swap done to you, okay? But our job now is to extract, okay? So now, for this to be done really on a high level, we need the power and influence of tzaddikim who are master experts in knowing how to extract from the chamber of exchanges, okay? This is one of the reasons why Rebbe Nachman is buried in Uman amongst these 30,000 martyrs, rectifying lost souls from the past. He said, there's souls waiting for me to rectify them for hundreds of years. I think he said thousands of years or hundreds of years, hundreds of years, waiting for me to rectify them. And then he also made statements, what do you guys have to worry? I'm leaving before you. Also, there's help. I'll be able to help future generations. Rav Nosson in Likutei Halachot elaborates on these points. But the thing is that this is a type of a tzaddik whose caliber and koach is to go into the klipa and extract. So let's go back to the story. Who's the one that helped Rebbe Nachman to be buried in Uman? Hirsch Ber. Hirsch Ber, Rebbe Nachman once called him Metzach HaNachash, the forehead of the snake. The forehead, Metzach, is Gematria Ratzon. The forehead of a person, in the Zohar, it says in Parshat Yitro that if you know how to decipher the lines in the forehead, you can tell a person who he is, whose neshama is, by the lines. There's all different types of lines a person has when he goes up and down, whatever. All these lines, the Zohar says in Parshat Yitro, you can see how a person is. So the inner essence of a person is on the forehead. So Rabbi Nachman called Hirsch Ber Metzach HaNachash. He was so cunning, so sharp. There's a picture of him, by the way. There's a picture. He looks like Johnny Cash. Mamash, a Jewish Johnny Cash. There's a portrait of Hirsch Ber. Hirsch Ber, he was caught in a very big money scandal in Uman with the government. He immediately fled. He became a professor of Hebraica in Oxford University in England. He passed away in Oxford. Sorry, not Oxford. What's the other university? Not Oxford. Cambridge, sorry. Cambridge. He's buried in Cambridge. Amongst the professors, there's a cemetery of all these Christian professors, and in the middle of them is a Jewish grave with Jewish writing. Hirsch Ber, Horowitz. We know this from Labelberger, blessed memory, a Breslov, who found his grave, and he said by him the Tikkun HaKlali, because it's thanks to Hirsch Ber, number one, Rebbe Nachman's kever, where it is, and also the last lesson, the Likutei Moharan, lesson 8, part 2, he was able to hear Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman was dying. He spoke for 4 hours straight, and his voice was like, you could hardly hear him. Rabbi Nosson says there was like 100 people in the Beit Midrash in Uman. The push and the squeeze was so bad, people were fainting, and there was noise. But Hirsch Ber, everyone was scared to touch it because he was one of the leading maskilim, and he had government connections. So people were scared to touch him. So he was able to come close to Rebbe Nachman. Him being fluent in the Torah, even though he was secular, he knew the Shas inside out. These people were big people. You have to understand that, okay? He was able to hear every word that Rebbe Nachman said. So Rav Nosson reviewed lesson 8 with Hirsch Ber. So when he came, Hirsch Ber, he fled to Cambridge University. He changed his name to Herman Bernard. Hirsch Ber became Herman Bernard. So there's a picture. He got an artist to make it was before the photographs. So it was like there's an early picture from the 1850s, something like that, 1860s of Hirsch Ber. Johnny Cash, a Jewish version of Johnny Cash. In any event, this is Rebbe Nachman. First of all, what did he do? When he went to Uman, twice, it was twice in Uman, he befriended these maskilim. What are you doing? You're a Rebbe. You're talking to Jews who are secular, and they mock the Torah, but he challenged them. Rebbe Nachman showed them, I have the power to penetrate even you guys. They admitted it. They said if Rebbe Nachman would have lived longer, we would have done total tshuva. We would have come back 100%. Believe it or not, this Hirsch Ber, by the way, before he passed away, so after he passed away, his son-in-laws wrote a letter to Rav Nachman Tulchener in Uman because he maintained connection to the Breslov Hasidim, even though he fled. He stayed because Rebbe Nachman told him to be there for his followers. Okay, and he did. He kept his word, and on his own he befriended. He had a big respect for Rav Nosson and the future Breslov Hasidim. So there was a correspondence going on. If it was for money issues, to help the Breslovers for the cloys, whatever, or for whatever else, there was a type of correspondence, even though he fled to Cambridge in England. So they wrote a letter telling that Hirsch Ber passed away. And before he passed away, Hirsch Ber was saying on his bed in Yiddish, "Oy, the Rebbe, oy, the Rebbe," like, he regrets, oy, if I only would have listened to the Rebbe. He left with Rebbe Nachman on his lips. He was saying, "Oy, the Rebbe, the Rebbe." That's what they wrote in the letter to Rav Nachman Tulchener and the Breslov Hasidim in Uman, okay? So Rabbi Nachman, what did he do? Hasidic Rebbes, they don't have anything to do with these type of guys. Yeah, Rabbi Nachman played chess with them. He challenged them. He was able to show that he can read Greek and say it over off by heart, what's written in a Greek book of philosophy. He was able to challenge them on the most difficult mathematical problems and show them that he knew his stuff. They had the greatest respect. But why did Rebbe Nachman do that? Because Rebbe Nachman was a master of extraction. He knew how to go into the exchange chambers, because these type of people, Jews who are not in their proper place, that is due to the damage of the chamber of exchanges. That we have secular Jews today, Jews who are not keeping the Torah. This Rav Nosson says in Bukot HaShachar Halacha Gimel is due to the exile. The exile is due to the chamber of exchanges. Everything's mixed. We have no Beit HaMikdash. The Jews are in exile. The majority of Jews in the world don't even know how to say Shema Yisrael. There's assimilation. All these things is due to the chamber of exchanges. Okay, the Jews have been swapped, and because there's no true happiness. I'm in the middle of reading a story of a lady, Baal Tshuva, how she eventually came to Breslov, and she was explaining the norm attitude of secular Israelis like in the 1980s. In the 1980s, it's probably true today, but her story's from the 1980s. When an Israeli student graduated from high school, the norm, or after the army, or before the army, they go to the East Asia for like for hiking. They go see the world, and you're considered not normal if you don't do that. Normal Israeli secular society, they go to the mountains, they go to Himalayas, they go Swiss Alps, they go around. That's normal. They go to South America, they go to Africa. That was considered normal. And why do they do that? She said, because we all felt an emptiness. There's an emptiness when you're reaching like a teenage crisis. When you reach 17, 18, 19, there's a void that everybody feels. They don't know how to take it out. They don't know that Hashem is the address, the Yiddishkeit is the address. They don't know. They're looking, but they don't know where to go. So where do they go? They go to the mountains. They go to the nature. They think it's in Hujibuji. They think it's elsewhere, and that's considered like normal. There's a gap. This gap, this feeling hollow and empty, is due to the chamber of exchanges. Okay, what's needed is it's tzaddikim to show people the right thing to do. Because they don't have the true tzaddikim to tell them what to do, so people do other things. And if you listen even to other, I mentioned this point on Yom Kippur. Why does Rebbe Nachman, I'm going off a little because it's such an important point. Why does Rebbe Nachman introduce the concept of a true tzaddik? Already, it's enough already that we have wicked people, Rashayim, Beinonim, people in between, like the rabbis say, the Gemara talks about this, and then there's tzaddikim. Okay, all of a sudden, Breslov comes up with a new term. True tzaddik. Oh my God. It's not enough that we have tzaddikim. You make it harder for me. I have to find a true tzaddik, as if to say there's a false tzaddik. The answer is yes. How could it be? Tzaddikim in general, and especially true tzaddikim, what they do is they search the vast Torah, and they pull out advice for people to do. Okay? So now, a true tzaddik, he knows where to pinpoint in the 613 mitzvot, which are called in the Zohar. If you remember this from lesson 7, the Kutimran. The 613 counsels. Taryag 18 is Eitzah. The 613 advices, counsels of the Torah, and then each one has extensions. So there's thousands of mitzvot, which are advices. Okay? So the true tzaddikim, they're able to pinpoint from the vast sea of the Torah which specific advices will help you to survive the chamber of exchanges, or help you to battle and fight against the chamber of exchanges. Whereas other tzaddikim who are not true tzaddikim, they'll also pick out advice from the Torah. I'm not going to start mentioning examples, I don't want to put down anybody, okay? But they also mention advices. They say, no, say chapter 90, this is good for you, it's a segula for this. No, learn maybe this, that, learn this book, learn that. They have good advices. So now what's the danger? If now you put predominant the advice of the tzaddikim over the advice of the true tzaddikim, and when's the nafkamina? When you're limited in time and you're like 5 minutes. So are you going to do daf yomi, or are you going to learn halacha? Rebbe Nachman said, for example, learn halacha every day, no matter what. This is your tikkun. You want to succeed in life, you have to make sure every day you learn halacha. Every day has to be with halacha. You miss a day, you put yourself in danger. You put yourself in danger to what? To falling into the trap of the chamber of exchanges and staying down. It's one thing to fall into the trap, it's another thing to get out. It's another thing to stay there, chas v'shalom. The advice of the tzaddikim is specifically made, the true tzaddikim, to help you get out. If now I prioritize, how do you say? I prioritize, thank you. What the other tzaddikim say over the true tzaddikim, because it's the mode, it's the trend. I know a guy, unfortunately, a Breslover, he's going nuts to make sure he does daf yomi, even on account of learning halacha. He's a business guy, he's working all day, and he told me, I don't get to learn halacha every day, what can I do? So I say to myself, what do I do? This is number one. Halacha is before anything. If you're in jail, they say you can bring in one book. What's that one book? Shulchan Aruch. I'm sorry. One book. Don't say a Breslov book. If they say a prayer book, yes, take in Likutei Tefillot, no problem. But if they say halacha, a Torah book, one book, Shulchan Aruch. I have to admit, I was in jail for like a few hours. I'm sorry to tell you the truth. It wasn't such thing. I came out after him. But Hashem made it that in the jail cell, there was a Shulchan Aruch. I had is Shulchan Aruch. I was the happiest person in the world. That is Shulchan Aruch. And I did, because I try not to miss halacha. So even in jail, I had Shulchan Aruch, access to Shulchan Aruch it was like for 2-3 hours. It wasn't serious. Don't worry. I'm not a criminal. I didn't do anything. I did something, but it's nothing, none of your business, number one. And number two, it's nothing that bad. Okay? So the tzaddikim, the true tzaddikim, they're called true, Rav Nachman says, because they have the capacity to see through, give you what is the specific coordinates in the vast Torah that you can use to get out of the exchange. He talks about halacha being powerful to a release from the exchange. Because what does halacha do? I'm just going to use it as an example because it's such a concrete, strong idea. Halacha makes a separation between the good and the evil. What's permissible, what's forbidden, what's kosher, what's not kosher, what's pure, impure. And he says, Rebbe Nachman, when you make that separation, it helps the separation from within. And what's the whole problem within? That the chamber of exchanges makes everything so confused because of the situation that you're upside down. So you become so frustrated that the good and the evil is mixed in together. So halacha does that. That's why it's a priority, okay? Other tzaddikim say, say this chapter of Tehillim, do this, do that, do achnasat orchim, give donation to Reb Shaya ben Moshe. You have other advices, they're great, but not on cheshbon of the advice given by the true tzaddikim, whose advice is to help you to get out of the chamber of exchanges. Okay? So going back to Rebbe Nachman, he purposely connected to these masculine. And even Rav Nosson couldn't understand this. Rav Nosson, Rav Naftali, they saw Rebbe Nachman playing chess with Hirsch Ber. And when Rebbe Nachman was playing chess, he was so involved in the game that he forgot that he was a Rebbe, and Hirsch Ber forgot that he was dealing with a respectable person. Because it was like, when they're playing chess, they start talking very open and very gus. How do you say gus? Very, what's the word in English for gus? Someone who's gus ruach, gus, very
arrogant.
Yeah, like an arrogant way. Okay, so when Hirsch Ber saw how Rav Nosson Naftali came before Rebbe Nachman with the biggest honor and respect, she became embarrassed because he was so open. So there's more details in the story, but I just want to get to the point. Rav Nosson Naftali they couldn't handle it anymore. They told Rebbe Nachman, "What connection do you have with these people?" And then Rebbe Nachman said to Rav Nosson Naftali, "What connection do I have with you guys? You guys are like me, like a feather on my coat, where I just go and you fly off." In other words, you on one hand, yes, you're in a better position than these guys, but know that you also are still far from the concept of the tzaddik, what the tzaddik is, okay? So, but the thing is, Rebbe Nachman lowered himself to connect to these people, okay? And why? It seems, in order for Hirsch Ber to get Rebbe Nachman buried in the right place, because it was him that had this happen. And Rav Nosson says the biggest terms that Rebbe Nachman was specifically buried there, specifically in Uman, and then specifically in Uman there in that cemetery, not somewhere else. There's also an opinion, let's bury him in the new cemetery. No, he wanted Hirsch Ber asked Rav Nosson, the new cemetery or the old one? No, the old one where the martyrs are. That's where he wanted to be, specifically there, so that from there he can activate rectification. Because again, death, like we said, to die in Kiddush Hashem is painful. A Jew dies for the sake of God. Someone is killed, his life is cut short. It hurts when you hear, he died on Kiddush Hashem. It hurts you, okay? Why does it hurt? Because this type of rectification is unfortunately due to the damage of the exchange chambers, but it's meant to extract on the highest of levels the damage caused by the chamber of exchanges. So, Rebbe Nachman is buried, okay, amongst these martyrs to rectify what type of souls? Lost souls. The type of people that no one else can help. Today you see that in Uman Rosh Hashanah, we have all types of people coming. You think, Breslov Chassidim, so what's the image you get? You get the image of the guys from Me'asharim, with the beard and the payas and the nice white kippah and the nice socks. They never in their life even opened the computer. They're so simple and pure people. So those are the Breslov Chassidim, right? And then you go to Uman, they're like Batal Berov, Batal B'Shishim, they're like 1%. The majority are these guys with earrings, shaved heads, guys that are not even keeping Shabbat, all types of lost souls. Why they're there? They'll say, for Rebbe Nachman. They have no connection to Yiddishkeit even, and they're there. So you begin to wonder, so what toilet is there? There is a toilet that Rebbe Nachman seems to be one of the greatest tzaddikim who knows how to extract from the exchange chambers, okay? So this is about in short, we can go more and more details, but there's too much to talk about. This is Rebbe Nachman, his burial place, Hirsch Ber the Maskilim, his role in extracting from the chamber of exchanges. Okay? Now, Sukkot. Sukkot. What in the world are we doing? We leave our house, Sukkah's Gematria, 91. Tzeh, go out. Tzaddik Aleph, get out, go out. We go out, Rav Nosson explains, we go out of the house. The house is protection. There's mezuzot on the doors of the house. Okay? The house, you do Kiddush, you do Shabbat, you have Svarim, you learn, you say Brachot. The house of a normal Jew is fused with holiness. You're leaving all that to go to the balcony, to go to a roof, to go to the street. Outdoors, which is the domain of evil. There's no mezuzah here. We build a temporary 3 walls, 4 walls, whatever. We put leftovers of grasses and trees and stalks and branches, whatever, used for schach. And then we create an environment which connects us to the highest levels now. For 7 days, we're connecting to the infinite light. Every second we're in this little thing, okay? And what's the idea? We went to the domain of chitzonim, chutz. We're out in Rishut HaRabim, and we're able, through the sukkah, filter in to extract the holiness from the world that's stuck, do the chamber of exchanges in the world, and to also extract and bring them in. What you're doing in the sukkah, I tell people, don't go traveling during Sukkot. Stay in your sukkah. Yeah, but the family, try to educate the family to be in the sukkah, because the gain is so unbelievable. They gain every second in the sukkah, asleep. It says, Lalacha, letayel, do your vacation in the sukkah. That's the wording of Shulchan Aruch. You have to speak to somebody. Letayel, the wording in Chazal, in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the word letayel, which means a vacation. Do your vacation work in the sukkah. Do everything. Speak to people in the sukkah. Bring in like a zoo, whatever. Have a fun farm for the kids. Do nice stuff which are respectable. That's my son-in-law. All right. So we're now taking from the outside and filtering in, bringing in holiness extraction. That's the idea of Sukkot. So with this, you understand why Rebbe Nachman passed away in the Chag of Sukkot. Because the Chag of Sukkot is the idea of extraction, filtering holiness which is stuck to bring it in, okay? His job, Rebbe Nachman, was the exact same thing, was to extract holiness stuck in the chamber of exchanges. Outdoors is considered chamber of exchanges, okay? Everything's taken. There's holiness stuck in, when you go downtown, you don't feel good. I'd rather be in a Beit Midrash. I'm in a Beit Midrash. I feel good in my religious neighborhood. When I have to go to downtown, go somewhere else, and there's secular Jews or going, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's a pain. But there's trapped there holiness that has to be extracted. The Sukkah does that. So Rebbe Nachman and Sukkot are one and the same. Okay? Next level. Which day of Sukkot he passed away? The 4th day of Sukkot. We know that there's 7 supernal shepherds. Right? Day 1, Avraham. Day 2, Yitzchak. Day 3, Yaakov. Day 4, Moshe Rabbeinu. Tonight is Moshe Rabbeinu. He's the Ushpiza Kadisha. Tomorrow, according to Arizal, is Aharon. And then day 6, Yosef. And day 7 is David HaMelech. Rebbe Nachman passed away on the Ushpiza. The shepherd visiting our sukkah is Moshe Rabbeinu. How is Moshe Rabbeinu connected to Rebbe Nachman? Watch this. Moshe Rabbeinu was involved with what? What was his big thing that he also, Hashem didn't agree with him? The Erev Rav. Moshe Rabbeinu tried to bring in the Erev Rav. It was such a mistake. The Zohar says till today we're suffering from the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav are the Jews who are descended or have sparks of their souls rooted in the Erev Rav, who are the non-Jews who converted not out of fear of God. They converted because they saw the greatness and the grandeur and the glory of the Jewish people leaving Egypt. So of course they want to be a part of the fad. It's the fad. Let's be part of it. Okay, makes sense. So their conversion wasn't the Shem Shamayim. Moshe Rabbeinu accepted it. Hashem warned them, it's not a good idea. In the end, they're the ones who caused the golden calf. Erev Rav, they're the ones who initiated the golden calf. And like the Zohar says, all the tribulations throughout exile, the main people involved are descendants or sparks, reincarnations of the Erev Rav. Like the Zohar says now, the people in charge of the Holy Land today, the secular people who are against religion, these are also Erev Rav. The Zohar says that, okay? They're sparks. I'm not saying this. So there's a lot of damage. Moshe Rabbeinu made a mistake, right? He made a mistake in drawing close to Erev Rav. Rebbe Nachman is able to fix Moshe Rabbeinu's mistake. Moshe Rabbeinu, as Rebbe Nachman, has the power to extract even from the Erev Rav. Even from the place where there's no Yiddishkeit, yet there's a pintel Yid stuck there, there's a holy spark, and this tzaddik can fix Moshe Rabbeinu. It was a fault. You would think, Moshe Rabbeinu, everything you do is from Kiddush Baruch Hu, and here's the one place that he erred, that he drew close to Erev Rav, like Hashem didn't agree with him. How could it be that you and Hashem are not on the same page? Doesn't make sense. You, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're always of Hashem, but he did something that Hashem said it's an error, and yet he did it. What in the world? Doesn't make sense. Because Moshe Rabbeinu's nitzotz will come again. This is Nishmat Moshe Mashiach. We can say this is Rebbe Nachman's job, to be connected to Moshe Rabbeinu's soul, and he now can fix even the Erev Rav. So Rebbe Nachman passed away on the ushpiza of Moshe Rabbeinu to fix the Erev Rav. And all the more so, anything less. Hirsch Ber was considered Erev Rav. That was Erev Rav. He was the first, Hirsch Ber was really bad. He told Rav Nosson, we're going to break all the walls separating us from the Goyim. We're going to inculcate all the Jewish children with secular education, and we're going to win. Rav Nosson says, he said to him, I don't know if you succeed, but if you do, the world will resort to be back to Tohu Vavohu, because this is not what the world was created for. And they opened 3 secular schools, one in Odessa, one in Berdichev, and one in Uman. Uman, Berdichev, and Odessa. And these schools were funded by taxes paid only from Jewish families who lit Shabbos candles. If you agreed not to light Shabbos candles, you're exempt. In order to encourage Jews to stop keeping religion, so they forced a tax. It was a government-enforced tax of the Jewish schools, paid by taxes by religious families. Dafka, you hear that? And he told us, we're succeeding in our schools in Odessa, in Berdichev, in Uman, because Uman was an upside-down city. Uman was never normal. Uman was Uman was a place. There was a lot of zlut, a lot of immorality. A lot of secular Jews were there. Klezmer singers would go there, even secular klezmer. It was a place of a lot of ich. It wasn't such a holy place. You have to understand that, okay? Many tzaddikim tried to move there to fix that. Why were the maskilim there? Of all places, the leading maskilim, Hirsch Ber, his father-in-law, Hirsch Ber Horowitz, and Moshe Landau, the other son-in-law of Hirsch Ber Horowitz, who was the grandson of the Noda Yehuda, who fell off. He was a very professional doctor, Dr. Moshe Landau. All 3 were amazed by Rebbe Nachman. They fell to his feet. All 3, especially Heikel. Heikel, who was a student of Naftali Hertz Weisel, who was the leading student of Moses Mendelssohn in Berlin, in Germany. Okay, so these are big things happening. Okay, so Erev Rav, Rebbe Nachman has the koach to fix. So that's why he's on the Moshe Rabbeinu's ushpiza. Okay, with this mentioned, let's now take a look on a bigger picture. Take a look at the 7 days of Sukkot, Rebbe Nachman's role in the picture. But let's look at how the seven tzaddikim of Sukkot represent our key for succeeding and helping the extraction of all the lost sparks that are left amongst the nations, amongst the Jews, to bring them all back. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the first 3 days of Sukkot, okay? Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are called Chevel Nachalato, a cord, a rope, a tripled Chut HaMeshulash, Lo bimhera min yinatek. It's a pasuk in Kohelet that you can have 1 string, it's easy to tear. 2 strings, you can still tear it. When you make 3 strings and make a cord, it's strong now. Okay? So we have Avram alone, not strong enough. That's why he had Ishmael come from him. Yitzchak with Avram, still not enough. We have Esav. But Yaakov together, that's a triple cord, that's strong. Chevel. What do you use a chevel for? To extract. Someone who's stuck deep in the pit, you throw them a rope, a cord, and that's how you pull them up. So Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the first 3 days of Sukkot, are the idea of the rope of extraction. But now from extraction, you need to be standing on a solid ground force. So that's day number 4, 5, 6, 7 of Sukkot. Ushpiza, number 1, Moshe Rabbeinu. Number 2, Aharon. Number 3, Yosef. Number 4, David. These 4 tzaddikim were involved in extracting from the chamber of exchanges. Number 1, Moshe Rabbeinu, we just said that his job was he gave himself over so much for the Erev Rav. And even though it didn't work out, but and so much damage came because of it, Moshe Rabbeinu self-sacrificed for the Erev Rav, believe it or not, okay? To get them in. Number 2, Aharon. What did Aharon do? He made shalom bein ish leishto, between husband and wife. You hear that? Oh, like when we hear this story, when rabbis give a drasha, Aharon, he made shalom between husband and wife. So it sounds like he was like a professional shalom bayit coach, a family coach, and everything. But you know how difficult it is to make peace between husband and wife. What is the wife? She needs extraction. The woman, Rav Nachman explains, and the Zohar, Ragleha yordot mavet. The woman, she's like the moon. It's waning. She's in and out. The reason why there's a technical, if it's an emotional or spiritual imbalance in women, is because they're in and out, in and out. What's in and out? In the Kedusha, and then having close access to the Tumah. It's not easy. That's why the woman is upside down, because she's being challenged a lot. Ragleya, the verse reads from Proverbs. Ragleya yordot mavet. Her legs descend into death. Because a woman, she's the key for man's biggest sins of sexual impurity. She has the potential for that, so she's being tested non-stop. Okay? The man's job is to be able to have peace and to cope with that, B'ezrat Hashem. So Aharon was someone who could make peace between a husband and wife, where she's in her world, and there's a man who's in a different world technically. And for someone to do that, he has to be a master of extraction also, to help extract her from wherever she's stuck in and to reconnect with her husband. That's why it was such a big thing when Aharon passed away. All Am Yisrael mourned over him, even the man and the woman. Why? Because he was able to make Shalom Bayit. And is it a big feat? Yes. Because the idea of Shalom Bayit is also extracting from the chamber of exchanges. Because, this is scary to say, when there are Shalom Bayit issues, it's also due to the chamber of exchanges. It's also due, Chas Shalom, to the swap of the chamber of exchanges. He's not in the right place. She's not in the right place. Oh, divorce. Okay. That's and then the divorce causes terrible damage, right? And they regret it afterwards. If I would have known. All that because it's such a major hit from the chamber exchanges. They say, yeah, divorce, be bad. Let them suffer. We will gain. We'll gain from this. So Aharon, to be able to do that, was a major feat of a tzaddik who knew how to do extraction from the chamber of exchanges. Number 3, Yosef HaTzaddik. What's he known for? Potiphar's wife, Egypt. Yosef HaTzaddik, pure, holy. Where's he thrown into? The biggest tumah of the world at the time, Egypt, and being tempted by a beautiful wife, a rich woman, Potiphar's wife, and he held on. Also extraction. Why was he there? What did he tell his brothers? Don't feel bad that you sold me. Hashem sent me before you for lemichya. On the pshat level it is that I'm now the viceroy and I can sustain you. On a deeper level, Yosef HaTzaddik was able to collect the holy sparks stuck there in Egypt. Okay? From the time of Avraham Avinu, there were sparks there. They was able to extract them, even from before, they say. All right? So Yosef HaTzaddik, he was also a master of extraction. Finally, David HaMelech, he himself, his whole thing, he's descended from who? From Yehuda and Tamar, from Boaz and Ruth, and himself, his lineage is questionable. Is he a Moavite? Is his mother really Jewish? Is she not? His whole lineage is questionable. Okay, and he's gingy, hot, like Esav. They say, look at him. Look, it's this gingy guy. He's going to be a king. He's fit for royalty. Come on. He suffered terrible from the chamber of exchanges, but his whole weapon was what? Like he says, Vani tefillah. My whole weapon is prayer. It's funny. Rebbe Nachman said, Gor mein Zach is tefillah. Said my whole thing is davening. He said Gor mein Zach is Rosh Hashanah. My whole thing is Rosh Hashanah. Rebbe Nachman also said my whole thing is davening. And David HaMelech said, Vani tefillah. My thing is prayer. Unbelievable. Okay? So this tzaddik, David HaMelech, was extraction. Of himself. He was born from such an illicit lineage, upside down. Boaz, Ruth, also the other side of Yehuda and Tamar, and plus himself, Moavit, and he succeeded becoming king of Israel. Baruch Hashem. So these last 4, from day 4, 5, 6, 7, these 4 tzaddikim are masters of the chamber of exchanges. It starts of extracting from the chamber of exchanges. It starts with Moshe Rabbeinu during the day number 4. These 4, I think Rav Nachman explains this, they establish the Yesod, a concrete foundation for all Am Yisrael. These 4 tzaddikim, Moshe, Aharon, Yosef, David, because of their ability of extraction, they build a yesod. A foundation is not one-sided. It's not two-sided. It's four-sided. When you build a foundation stone, there's four corners. There's four sides. Not two sides, three sides. There's four sides. So these four tzaddikim are the foundation, and Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are the chevel. Standing on this foundation, we use Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, which means any trace of lineage descended from Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, whether physical or spiritual, because we know the Gerim are Bnei, Avraham, and Sarah. So if it's a spiritual soul who's descended from Avraham and Sarah, and by extension we have Yitzchak and Yaakov, so they pull out. The rope is the Yiddishkeit, the Pintel Yid, the point of Yiddishkeit. That's the rope, standing on what foundation? The other four tzaddikim, okay? So they work together. There's the rope of extraction, and the foundation, what we stand on to extract. So these are the idea of the 7 days of Sukkot, the 7 shepherds. Rebbe Nachman's role is the four also is Pashut, Kaful, Meshulash, Meruba. The idea of a Yesod is the idea of single fold, doubled, tripled, quadrupled. That's it. It stops at quadruple. The idea of 1, 2, 3, 4 in the songs, the Nigina, right? So this also forms a Yesod, 4 that builds. We go on. I don't want to drive you guys nuts, but there's more to develop about the 3 and the 4 in another practical application of advice from Breslov teachings. What gives you the foundation of the 4 and the 3? The foundation of the 4 are in the letters Simcha, Shin, Mem, Chet, He, which are the 4 fundamental devotions in Breslov, the 4 big advices of the tzaddikim amitim, that if you connect to this advice, no matter how low you fall in the chamber of exchanges, you can always get back up. Number 1, Sin Shin is Shulchan Aruch, learning halacha. Number 2, Mem is the mikveh. No matter what, you make sure you go to the mikveh. If you can every day, okay, do your best, but at least once a week, Erev Shabbos, whatever, but do your best to have mikveh in your life. Chet, very difficult, but it's an advice that's going to save you. Chatzot, getting up at midnight. Okay, not to stay up until midnight, to get up at midnight, to go to sleep and wake up. Even if it's an hour sleep, 2 hours sleep, but to get up and stay there, okay? That's chatzot. Hey is hitbodedut. We didn't speak that much, but hitbodedut is for sure the big advice. Like I admit, I have to confess, I mentioned I saw the movie Bruce Almighty. If you saw the movie Bruce Almighty, so that shows clear example of talking to Hashem. Give me a sign, give me an indication, okay? To talk to Hashem, to get answers. Those are the 4 advices. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the rope is learning Rebbe Nachman's fundamental teachings. The 3 books, 3 fundamental teachings of Rebbe Nachman, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, is his Likutei Moran. Number 2, Aleph Bet book, the Sefer Amidot. Number 3, Sipur Masiyot. And now because the 3 are interconnected, it's 3 and 3 and 3, 3 times 3. So the next 3 level are Rebbe Nachman's books on conversations. His Rebbe Nachman's wisdom, Sichot Aran. Number 2, Chaim Aran. Number 3, Shivchei Aran. Those books have been translated into English. And then the last 3 are Rav Noson's fundamental writings. Number 1, Likutei Halachot. Number 2, Likutei Tfilot. And number 3, Rav Noson's letters, Alim Tshufa. These 9 books, which are, because each chord is tripled. There's one chord tied 3, another chord tied 3, another chord tied 3. So there's 9 chords. It's a triple fold chord, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're intertangled, okay? 3 times 3. It's ABC, BCA. You know how it works, in multiplication, factorial, okay? So it's 9. So you have 3, 3, 3. 3 books of Rebbe Nachman, 3 books of Rebbe Nachman's conversations, and then the 3 books of Rav Noson. These 9 books are the rope. Extract. Spread Rebbe Nachman's teachings, teach them, learn them, go with them. That's your rope of extraction. And then what you're standing on, these 4 advices. Shulchan Aruch, mikveh, chatzot, hitbodedut. We did not mention Uman Rosh Hashanah because all of these are dependent on getting to know this tzaddik. If you have the merit to be in Uman Rosh Hashanah by this tzaddik, Rebbe Nachman, so then the follow-up to continue that light are these 4 plus 9. The 4 advices, Shulchan Aruch, mikveh, chatzot, hitbodedut, and the 9 books that we mentioned, okay? We spoke a lot. We should be zoche to fulfill everything we spoke about and to maintain Rebbe Nachman's light and to follow them to the extent that we can get the whole world to wake up, to come back to Hashem, Bezrat Hashem. The Jews and the non-Jews and all of creation to come back to Hashem. All right. Now, just a few messages. Okay, number one. I'm saying this also to the people who are online. Everything we spoke about is based on Likutei Moran, lesson 24. The idea of the extraction, the exchange chamber of exchanges, is a major theme at the end of lesson 24. I highly recommend you discover this beautiful lesson 24. You can by going to the following link. Go to lesson 24. That means at lesson number 2, number 4. Dot Breslov therapy. Breslov therapy.com. There you have the whole lesson translated with notes from the thanks to the Breslov Research Institute. You have a workshop on a 40-day challenge to try to integrate this lesson and the ideas into your life. Plus over 600 audio and video classes and podcasts on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and also you have a website with Parsha sheets. Every week Parsha insights on this amazing lesson, okay? That's number one. Number two, wherever you are in the world, we created a Breslov Connect group to find people in your neighborhood, in your region, in your country, in your vicinity, who are like-minded as you and interested in Rebbe Nachman's teachings, and you would like to know more, number one, about Rebbe Nachman's teachings, number two, to connect to people who are like-minded, and number three, when there's events in your neighborhood, and you don't say, oh, I didn't know about it, if I would have known. So we created these groups to let people, wherever they are, in Israel, in the diaspora, you can go to this website and you can choose your neighborhood or your region, your province, your state, or your country. You go to connect.breslovtherapy.com. Final, Aharon Chaviv, we need your help. We need your support. Breslov Therapy is a non-profit organization with 4 classes a week. We try to give, whatever, with the support of the people. And it takes a week to prepare each class. So your support is really needed, really appreciated. You can help donate tax-deductible donations, Canadian and American, at the following link. You can go to donate.breslovtherapy.com. Thank you so much. May we come back with the light of Rebbe Nachman, take it in our lives, and become better people, B'ezrat Hashem. Thank you. Shkoyach.
The connection with Moshe Rabbeinu is yours, or Rebbe Nachman says it?
I think Erev Rav